Train is coming back again. Extravaganza, you should run and tell a friend. Kings and queens are posted at the ball. Looking down, it's time to take it off. Walk that walk, show me how to move it. Can you walk that talk? Put some snap into it, it's your chance now. Girl, you better dance now. It's your time to show it all. The spotlight is on you, let's go. You better work. You better shake that thing like a donkey and go hard for it. You better work. You better swing from a pole like a monkey and go hard for it. You better work. Cause big girls get down on the floor and make a jiggle, 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 you know. Ain't no shame, it's the name of the game. Now everybody down to the floor. Here we go. We got the rhythm of the beat, beat, beat. We got the rhythm of the beat. We got the rhythm of the hands. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out. Here we go. Walk that walk. Show me how to move it. Can you walk that talk? Put some snap into it. It's your chance now. Girl, you better dance now. It's your time to show it all. The spotlight is on you. Let's go.
When the song come on in the club, put it up, put it up, put it up, turn it up, turn it up. This what we gon' do. When the song start to play, tell the DJ. And if you want to dance flow, you tell the DJ. This your jam, this your joint, hey Mr. DJ. This that new Sierra, go holla at the DJ. Now drop it down, everybody in the club drop it down. Jiggle that, till it drop, till it drop, till it drop, all the way down to the ground. We in the club don't stop. When the song come on, don't stop. Me and C, we gon' go berserk. All the ladies on the floor, you better work. You better work. Hey. My boy. Put your hands up.
Peace, 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 everybody. It is a guy with the bow tie checking in with you live for another edition of Business Benefits. Hope you had some fun working it with Sierra and Missy. To my right, you have the amazing Lori Mans. How you doing, Lori?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Good. I want to have some fun music and we're going to talk about sales, and that is work.
Yes, that's what it takes to make business go around, right?
Absolutely. And I'm going to say thank you to Hashtag Team Live. Thank you to Hashtag Team Replay. However you consume the content, we appreciate it. Please let us know below where you're watching and how you're watching. And Lori and I met through the interwebs of LinkedIn. I kept seeing her do sales content, and that's always one of my favorite things, especially when it's from a holistic standpoint. So from the people that don't know who you are, Queen, let them know your gift for the world.
Well, my name is Lori A. Mans, and I am a business coach and strategist with QualityMediaConsultants.com, where we help entrepreneurs and small business owners to get more dream clients, gain brand visibility, and grow their cash flow and revenue in record time. And I am happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us. So, Lori, you and I wanted to talk about sales systems. So, I've been in sales B2B for about 10 years or so. My first job was working at Montgomery Ward's in the appliance department. So I'm dating myself a little bit for people that never heard of Montgomery Ward's.
They have been out of business a long time.
Long time, and I had no clue what I was doing, so maybe that's why that happened. But either way, that was my first retail sales job, and then I kind of picked up some stuff here and there. But I like to ask people that are in sales, what is your definition of sales for people to kind of understand what you think the word means?
Well, sales is just the exchange of providing value and solutions when it comes to your products and services in exchange for monetary compensation. And when you do it from a heart-centered place, it is all about providing service so that you can be of assistance and help to that person who needs an answer for their problem, challenge, or desire.
Ooh, I like that. That was a deep one. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you agree with that. And that's a good definition of sales, because if you don't know what it is, some people think it's just hustling or pushing a product or a bunch of bad things. I mean, unfortunately, the media has a certain perception of sales that we've seen in movies time and time again. I mentioned in the post for this about Wolf of Wallstreet that we think that's sales. And there's not a positive value to what happened with that. It was entertaining, but there was no value exchange, which is why the whole thing unraveled and became bad. So now that we kind of know what sales is, the hardest part, I think, for salespeople is the system. I still sell. Every business owner out there, if you don't think you're a salesperson, you're fooling yourself. But the system part, for anybody that's a consummate salesperson, that's the hard piece. So for anybody here that's watching this and is like, I'm a salesperson, I don't really have a system, I have a CRM, but that's as far as my system goes. What do you think is the part they're missing when it comes to having a system for salespeople, whether you're a business owner or individual contributor?
Well, having a sales system is basically having a tool or framework that helps you track your customers or your clients or contacts, right? So whoever it is that you're doing business with and whoever it is you're trying to sell, you need a methodology to track them, communicate with them, and manage them. So having a sales system gives you that. And there's nothing better than having one centralized place where you can go and get information about who this person is, what their biggest needs and problems are, what their contact information is, when was the last time they purchased something, what is it that they're more likely to purchase, and just giving you a central place to go and find out information about your process with that individual in your network. And so many people don't have an organized structure to their sales efforts, and that's why they don't know how much money they're going to make from month to month. They can't track what they made last year or 3 years ago or 5 years ago because they don't have a sales system. And then they can't forecast and project what they may make in the future because they don't have a sales system. So that's basically what a sales system is and why you need one.
So just to make sure we get this, just to make sure it's clear for everybody, is the sales system only the CRM, or is there more to that for people to understand?
Well, for the solo entrepreneur or the micro business owner, the CRM is basically their sales system, right? But if you are a retailer, for example, you need more than a CRM. Like you need a POS system, right?
Right.
A point of sale system. So having a sales system is not just a CRM, but it really depends on what type of business you have. If you're a service-based business, you may be able to get away with just having a CRM, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But if you are a service-based and a product-based hybrid business, you may need more than that. So it just depends upon what you have to sell and how much information you need in order to make smart sales decisions for your company.
And you and I were talking offline about smart sales decision a little bit. So we're thinking about this pandemic is still going on. It's not over. There's still places shut down, or people taking precautions or operating different than they used to be. So what would you say is the biggest outdated part of the sales system for people that, prior to coming into COVID, didn't really have a sales system that was really updated? It kind of did the same thing for the last, 15 years. What do you think is the most outdated thing you've seen in people's sales systems coming into this pandemic the second year?
Not having a digital aspect to sales outreach.
Okay.
We know that, although there may be hiccups in the internet today, we know that the internet for the most part is here to stay. And so if your sales team and your sales process doesn't involve some type of digital component where you are getting information and disseminating information in digital terms, then you may have a hole in your sales bucket that you need to fill. And so that's a very outdated thing when you haven't digital or digitized or made it somewhat up to date with technology. So there are a lot of people who say, oh, you know what? I still do the old fashioned cold calling, and that's great. That's fine, because you don't want to you don't want to do everything online, but you have to have a mixture of those strategies, online and offline.
Dude, that's the good part for me. So when we look at, cold calling is always beaten up on the internet about cold calling's dead. They don't do cold calling anymore. And there's this big battle that's been going on for years of the inbound social salesperson and the cold calling person. Now, you and I have been around long enough where we've seen both sides of it. But as you kind of think about the present day, when you talk to a company that says all we do is cold calling, what's your message to that person with their sales system that says that we don't need this digital stuff, Lori? We just go out there and pound the pavement, make some phone calls, and make it happen. What's your message to those people that are kind of like, this is the status quo for our sales process?
Well, inbound is a marketing methodology that's always going to be around, right? And it's designed to draw your visitors and potential customers rather than having to push your messages out there. And so I think that, again, I don't care, what industry you're in, you have to have a combination of inbound and outbound marketing in order to facilitate growth in your organization where sales and revenue generation is concerned. And so for those people who are only focusing on, the old traditional ways of picking up the phone and cold calling and getting leads that way, you're going to be left in the dinosaur age, so to speak, because there are other people who are out here getting leads digitally that they can get a lot quicker and more effectively, and they can already have a conversation going by the time you actually get someone on the phone. Like they can already have the relationship, all the way up to building the rapport, and they can already have the assessment done while you're still just trying to get somebody on the phone because you're still cold calling. And it's okay, but it's like have a combination of things that are going to work together for you so that you're not having to just depend upon getting people on the phone. But, here's the thing, you need to have some email marketing, you need to have some ads possibly, bringing you leads. You need to have some communication tools in place. So I would just say, again, mix it up because, a marketing mix and a diverse sales approach is going to be more effective for you than just focusing on one thing at a time.
This is a frequent conversation. I'm in the insurance industry, and most of the insurance industry is cold calling and walking indoors. That's pretty much the only method. No, people like myself going on LinkedIn Live, every insurance agent I talk to is like, why are you on the internet going live? Why are you making content? And it's maddening to me. I'm like, how do you guys not see this? It's kind of like the dinosaur thing, like you mentioned. But there's still a place for cold calling. Like, don't get me wrong, like you said, mix the two up. But it's just hard in certain industries that are a little more archaic to understand that, yes, I'm spending time making content, but when I contact them, they're ready to go. Or when they contact me, say, hey, I saw a video, I want to talk to you. So there's a lot of legacy businesses out there that are trying to get into digital, but they're saying, "Oh, things are open now. COVID's kind of open. Let's go back to the way it used to be." What do you think about that step in business? If people that are seeing, numbers are going down, let me just start going back in person and doing it how I used to do. What do you think of that decision that's happening for people right now?
Well, I think people are doing themselves a disservice if they think that anything about business is going to be normal again. Because the pandemic has truly changed the way that we live, work, and do everything. And so, whatever numbers are going down when it comes to the pandemic and the cases of COVID, that's a great thing. However, business is not going to be business as usual post-pandemic. Whenever we do get to post-pandemic, it won't be business as usual. It'll be a redefined new way of doing business that we'll have to get acclimated to, or actually just try to, master at that point, because we should already be doing things differently. We should already be doing more things digitally and more things virtually. We should already be doing more things to attract our target market and our audience, as opposed to having to work so hard to chase them. So I think it's important to be innovative and put some systems in place so that you're ahead of the curve whenever we do get post-pandemic.
I wanted to shake the screen when you were saying that, because that's definitely the issue. Is all of these things save time with the digital space. I for one, my day used to be spending at least 2 hours in traffic driving to and from Atlanta or some part of Georgia to go visit somebody, and I don't do that as much now. I'll do it here and there, but that time being back has helped immensely. And when you hear the word system, sometimes people think it's like I got to buy some software, I got to buy this and that, but I don't think a system has to be that complicated. So it's a general outline for people that I've taught the folks to say, I don't know the sales funnel. I've never used a CRM, or I don't do things. I'm not a salesperson. So they kind of look at me like a four-eyed monster when talking about a sales funnel. But as a simple definition for people that are, maybe they're, a single contributor, or they have a business that's been around, but they just kind of do stuff their own way. What's the general nuts and bolts? We talked about the CRM, but is the sales system generally just knowing each part of the sales funnel for people that don't know what that is?
Well, the sales system is like, first you have to start with, what it is, and we've already talked about that. But then you have to talk about the goal, right? And so the goal of the sales system is, what is it that you want to accomplish? And so that's how you set a sales system up. And it's not that you have to have all this, expensive tech or anything of that nature, but you do have to have a framework for how you manage and organize your sales. And so when it comes to a sales funnel, for example, it's all about generating awareness, right? Because the sales funnel is really about, how do people find you? That's the first part. And that is the awareness part of the sales funnel. It's like, how do you get leads? And so when you are a business owner, or when you are a person in charge of bringing leads into your organization, you're tasked with generating awareness for your company, your products or services. And so the top of the funnel is about that awareness. And then once someone is aware of you, then you have to get them interested in whatever you have to sell. So when they're interested, that means that they are looking at you going, hey, that's Daryl. He's, pushing out some good content about insurance and mitigating risk and protecting yourself here, there, the other. Wonder what he's talking about. So they're interested, and then when they're interested, you have to get them to move from that phase to really evaluation and consideration. So that means if they're looking for insurance, they begin to consider you as the person that they will buy from. They begin to evaluate you, your expertise, and what is it that you have to offer that would set you apart from another insurance guy. And so that goes to the, evaluation type situation. And then you move into the purchase. And so when they figure out that, hey, you know what, I like this guy, I trust this guy, I think he can really help me. I'm going to ask him about, what he can offer me for my situation. And then that's when they're ready to purchase and, move from evaluating you and that intent to buy to actually the being ready to buy. And so they're ready to purchase. And then once they purchase, it's all about loyalty. It's about keeping them as a customer and getting them to refer more business to you. So that essentially is what the sales funnel is all about. And every single one of those things that I mentioned is a process, right? And it happens systematically. Sometimes it happens in a couple of days. Sometimes it happens in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
It may take a couple of months or even a couple of years, but whatever it is, it basically is the sales process, and it's taking somebody from that awareness, that interest, and the evaluation and the desire for what you have, all the way to taking action and making a purchase. And all of those steps in the process is what we call the sales system. And it moves somebody from the point of entry in your business to the point where they come in and they are a prospect, and to the point where they move out and they are a paid customer or client.
I want to break down the top of the funnel for both sides real quick, but I want to catch up with some comments real quick. We had a new colleague of mine, Jay Cook. He said, I would say the modern day, we are both, you have to utilize both sides of opportunities, referring to inbound and outbound. So thank you for that comment, Jay. And he also said, very well said, Lori. I personally engaged with Daryl after meeting him for true inspiration and motivation. So he's been a part of my process. I almost hate to say the sales funnel with people because it's a process overall. So I'll say the process is my engagement process. And then Suzanne, a good friend of mine, said, a good video, we got to catch up. So Suzanne, you'll be on my calendar. Thank you for jumping in here. But what I wanted to break down the top of the funnel, the awareness part, that's where I think it gets confused, because you and I didn't coordinate this, but awareness is something I say often. For awareness is the first key for my sales funnel and my sales process. And people look at the time spent on the cold calling, face-to-face side versus the time spent on the digital presence. So it's always more time. I mean, would you agree most of your effort is going to be in the top of the funnel either way?
Absolutely, because the biggest challenge is getting found, seen, and heard by the people who you can actually help, right? So the main thing is that they don't know you exist. They don't know I exist. I like to use an example of the sharks, right? On the show Shark Tank, right? All of those sharks had businesses, and they had $1 million and multi-million-dollar and billion-dollar companies before they got on TV. But the issue was they were not household names like they are now. They were not known like they are now. And so what that awareness did for them, being on TV gave them a platform. Being on TV made them famous. Being on TV gave them a launching pad to do a whole lot of other things and make millions and billions of dollars more. Well, that awareness, like being on TV, that's what everybody wants, It's like, having that instantaneous fame. But the way that people who are not famous do it, like me and you, is we get on the internet, right? Because the internet is free for the most part. We can get on social media platforms and professional networking platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube and all those wonderful things. And we can have a Google My Business page. And so we can get found on the internet and we can be internet famous. But because we're doing that, we're creating content and we're getting out there and putting ourselves out there to create awareness, to create visibility, because we don't have the benefit of being able to go on TV or go on radio, traditional radio, that is FM radio, and talk about ourselves. And so the internet has presented a unique opportunity to entrepreneurs and business professionals to promote themselves and really put themselves out there as experts so that they can be found, seen, and heard by their target market and have a leg up when it's time to get more leads and close more deals.
I'm glad you brought up Shark Tank because that's a very interesting dynamic with that because they'll show success stories after Shark Tank of like, hey, this person came on, but if you actually kind of did the math on how many folks went on versus how many actually succeeded, it's a small number. And often that's the product could have been bad. That could be one thing. It's just a joke product. They want to get some laughs on TV. But I think a lot of it's the system afterwards because you get all these eyeballs on you. It doesn't matter if you don't have a system for it, much like the internet when you mentioned that. You can put a video out there that gets 1 million views and nothing happens afterwards because you don't have a system for, okay, they saw it or they engaged it and commented, liked it or something. What do I do now? And I think people mess that up because Shark Tank, there's a small minority they'll show like, these are the 5 that made it. And they're like, y'all did 50 episodes. Only 5 blew up. But what's your thought process when you see like this mega video? People want to go viral, let's face it. Everybody wants to go on the internet and go viral. But would you say that's the main piece or just really the afterwards step? Like, what are you going to do? What's the goal once you get viral?
Well, I'm glad you said that because, it is something today, with the internet explosion that we've seen over the last 10, 15 years. Yeah, everybody wants to go viral. But the whole point of going viral is to have something to sell, right? So those people who get accidentally famous because they go virally accidentally, a lot of times they're not prepared because they don't have a sales funnel in place. They didn't really have a call to action, right? They didn't really have a plan for if they did hit it big. And so they're scrambling, after the fact to try to put some things in place so that they can have something to sell, so that they can have something to capitalize off of. So my thing is do all of that ahead of time, create all of that ahead of time so that if and when you do hit it big, if and when you do create that viral content that really sits you into the stratosphere, that you already have a product or a service that you can sell, and you have a sales funnel system that takes people through a process where that you can sell them on something that will benefit them, and you can then get paid for that awareness that you've already generated.
Yeah, this makes me think about when people talk about the virility of TikTok or Clubhouse having these massive rooms. And I play a Clubhouse a little bit, but I always can think about like, if I have 500 people listen to this, what's the call to action? Like, how am I going to move them somewhere else? Because otherwise it's just a great conversation, then it goes away. Or TikTok doesn't have a lot of interaction. It's like, my video got 5,000 views. My dad's on TikTok and he goes viral. And it's just about, well, what do you do after that? So I think a lot of people miss that point. So I want to make sure people listen to what Lori's saying, that viral is cool and all for your self-esteem, to know, okay, I'm seeing people like what I did. But in the business world, if nothing happens afterwards, like visit this website, drop a comment, message this, all of it doesn't matter. And that's a big part I'm going to teach people is I don't care if you go viral. I care about the system, like follow up with people and to contact them. So there's a lot of people that might watch this that say, hey, I'm not a content creator. How do I get my digital presence up there? Because I mean, a lot of folks, that's the problem. LinkedIn, 1% of people make content still. So when you come across that side of, you said, hey, we got you went through a system with Lori and now you got a good B2B face-to-face situation, but they say, hey, we're not going to make content, Lori. That's not our thing. What's your message to those folks, or what's a strategy that people can use if they say, I don't want to make content, but I do want to play digitally?
That's a tough one, because if you don't want to make any content, then the next best thing is to share other people's content or to be involved with folks who are creating content, and you can be a part of that. But if you're just, headstrong that you're not going to create any content, then you have to promote something, right? You have to have a call to action. If you want to sell your products and services, you have to have a call to action, and you have to educate people. So that educational process starts with content. So if you don't want to do content marketing, then maybe you just have some type of membership or a paid email subscription or some type of offering that you can disseminate information to people that they will then consume for a fee or some kind of way. You have to have something that informs, educates, inspires, and makes people want to do business with you. So if you're not going to create content, then you're going to have to do ads, and you're going to have to pay for ads. Or if you're not going to create content, then you're going to have to maybe do public speaking, you know, and in that sense, you're kind of creating content because you got to have something to talk about.
Right.
But you know, you could do ads, you could do digital ads, you could, you know, spend money on ads if you don't want to do content. But even then, you have to figure out what the message is.
Yeah, you got to make the ad.
For those people who say they hate content creation, I feel sorry for you, because that really is the biggest and best way. Because when it boils down to it, there's going to be something that you have to create. Even if you want to do ads, you're going to have to put out a 30-second or 60-second commercial, whether it's, you know, digital, online, or on some traditional medium. So there's really no way of getting around creating some level of content. So I would say hire somebody who helps you, work with a business coach, work with a business strategist, hint, hint, or work with somebody who's going to help you develop a strategy, because there are so many things that you can do, but all of it is going to focus around you having the right message to get to the right people at the right time, so that they'll be willing and motivated to buy.
I like that you said you have to make something, because that's there for me. When I look at LinkedIn, it used to be there's 3 parts of LinkedIn. There was above the feed and the stories, which that went away, so now there's only 2 parts. But there's the feed, and then I consider messaging. Like, there's 2 different systems to me. And real quick, I just want to make sure I put a comment Jay had. You just said, we just want to inspire and motivate, no need for TV. That is too much. We can make positivity and awareness via LinkedIn. Lori, well said. And you also said, have everything in place so when you are ready to start the race, you can benefit from the unfound gifts you receive. Appreciate the wise words and insight.
I love it.
Jay's dropping the knowledge. But I think about there's 2 sides to LinkedIn, and this is something people, you know, I talk to insurance people, and they're like, I can't post because of compliance. So they're like, I really can't make any content on my own. I have to use what the company gives me. And I give some awareness, but I looked at the messaging system side of LinkedIn, which is probably more manual for what I do. But I think about the system of, like, what do you do when they connect with you? What do you do when they engage something? Like, I made a system for that to look at everything that happens in the messaging is a whole different system. And I've even looked at LinkedIn, like the feed is the no one like portion. We always hear sales is no like and trust. So for me, the feed is no one like, but I consider messaging the trust element. So when you look at that, people are automating certain things. We talked a little earlier about automation. Which sides do you think have a place for automation when it comes to social media, and which sides don't?
Are you talking about the which platforms?
Well, not which platform, but when I think about, like, I want to automate my content creation or something like that, or do I want to automate my messaging? Because they're kind of different sides.
Okay. So I'm thinking that you definitely want to automate your messaging. So, for example, if you have a content calendar and you've decided, okay, I am an insurance representative, insurance professional, and what I want to do this month is focus on telling people about all the insurance myths, you know, all the things that people make mistakes about in their mindset or in their thinking when it comes to insurance. And so every week I'm going to tackle a myth, you know, and I'm going to debunk the myth. And so you can actually create video or just a post on LinkedIn and pick one myth per week and debunk that myth and tell people why it is important. So you're doing 2 things. You're educating and you're also motivating them to learn more about what you're speaking on, because you're presenting yourself as an expert, right? So you're educating, motivating, and presenting yourself as an expert and authority. You're actually doing those 3 things. And all of that is positioning yourself for a future sale. And so you can automate every part of that. So you can create the content and then use something like Hootsuite or Ifit to send it out, you know, on any social media platform you want it to be on. And I think it's good to automate, you know, the content in that way so that you can limit the time that you spend on each social media platform, because that's a lot of things that people struggle with when it comes to social media anyway, is the time it takes. And so if you
Mm-hmm.
can automate some of that, meaning just schedule out your posts and then create batch lumps of content, right? So that
Mm-hmm.
you sit down one day or one week and you map it all out for the month, and then you only go on live to, communicate, answer responses or answer anything
Yeah.
in your DM. You get on there, a couple times a week to do that. And so you're maximizing your time, but you're also doing it strategically so that you can avoid wasting time.
I think that's good that you said that, because either way, whether it's you're walking indoors, you're calling people, emailing, social media, it there has to be a regimen of some sort, and it can't just be haphazard. So I mean, I like that you batching it. But even when you cold call, you got to say I'm going to cold call every day, or I'm going to do all of it at one time, or whatever it is. You have to have something, and I think some people mix up that they think it's one replaces the other, but either way, you got to commit time to it. And I for one decided I didn't want to chase business as much, like you said earlier. So I said I'm gonna spend some time on social media, and then that brings business for people to find me, and that's one method. But I still call folks, but I commit the time. So I think that's something that everybody's heard time blocking over and over again until they're blue in the face. But it's true. Anybody that's saying social media is not working probably hasn't time blocked to create content or comment or anything. So I think this is Q4. We're in the end of the year right now coming up. So a lot of folks are probably looking at revamping their sales system as a result. So what do you see as kind of a future trend in sales systems for 2022 that people can either look forward to or loathe?
So things to look forward to is that these sales companies are more competitive now. So a lot of them offer free trials that are longer. It used to just be like a 3-day trial. Some of them offer like a 7-day, 14-day trial for you to really get that honeymoon stage going and figure out if you like them or not. And so that's something to look forward to when you're determining what CRM system that you want to go with. Try them out on a trial and see what you like about it. But you have to be diligent about really using it during that trial period. So that's something to look forward to. Another thing to look forward to is the fact that you're going to be more organized, right? And organization breeds productivity. And so when you are more organized in your sales efforts, you can guarantee that you're going to be more productive and more profitable. So, of course, productivity and profitability are both things to look forward to in business, because that's why we're in business, of course, to be productive and profitable. And I think something that people will loathe or just not really like too much is the actual meat and potatoes of the grind of doing the work, because
The
it
data
is
entry.
right. It's the data entry. And so if you're that person that doesn't like the data entry and you don't like sitting at a computer and inputting in names and contact information, or when's the last time I talked to them and what was the call about and blah, 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 then, get a very good virtual assistant, get a very good admin assistant, get somebody that, loves to do that kind of stuff. And that's their jam. They rock it out and they can do it, 5 times quicker than you can and more
Yeah.
effective. So it's worth to pay the money for somebody to help you in this area if that's not your strong suit. So get the help that you need, and don't look at it as an expense. Look at it as an investment. So when you
Yeah.
look at getting the help as an investment, if you pay somebody $200, $300, $400, $500 a month to do those tasks that you don't like to do or you can't do very well, but then the time that they save you actually helps you to be able to focus on revenue generating activities that make you money, then it's an
Mhm.
investment. It's not as much of an expense at that point.
That's the part I'm sure with you leading corporations with sales, that's probably the hardest part, is the adapting to using the system. Because I know some salespeople that'll say this, it's in my head. Everything's in my head. I don't need to, I don't want to, I got a notebook. It's something that makes most people like you and I cringe, because I know when I was doing that, I would forget things. I notoriously tell people, you better email me because I forget what we just said. Like if it's some long conversation or very detailed, like, hey, don't tell me or tell me and email me because I'll forget it in a quick second. So for the people that are kind of like, I'm so deep into my relationships, it's all in my head, I don't need to have any CRM. What's a productivity metric that you can share anecdotally as you'll save this much time potentially, or you can increase your productivity by this much? Any kind of anecdotal evidence you have of that?
Well, I mean, our brains can only handle so much information, right? And if you are a sales professional and you work for a company, what happens if you get hit by a bus? Or what happened if you're out sick? Unfortunately, that information is stuck with you. And that company is at a disservice if they don't have something documented. And you, as a business owner, you're at a disservice if you don't have something documented, because what happens if you forget? What happens if you don't remember, or if you can't find that notebook that you wrote it down in? So if you have a system, that helps you to remember those things, it's going to be priceless, and it's going to help you keep up with good records, right? And so having those good records are going to actually aid you in the ability to figure out, okay, this time last year, this customer bought X, Y, and Z. Well, that CRM system is going to give you a trigger email or a trigger prompt to email them or call them up and say, hey, last year we talked about so-and-so. Are you ready to have that discussion again? And so that way you don't have to depend upon your memory. You can actually depend upon the data. And the data is going to tell you the story, and numbers never lie, right? And so when you have the data that gives you the information to be able to sell more effectively, then, I mean, that's priceless. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, it makes me think about one of my favorite books is Atomic Habits. And then James Clear has a comment. We do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. And it's true. And I think when I first began my insurance agency, there was people opening accounts before me. I'm like, why is this not working? But they had a better system. They've had more numbers of time in the field or better follow-up or something like that. So a system does kind of level the playing field for most anything. Even when you look at professional sports, they have a system that they use, or a training system and playing system, defense. It's all a series of systems. So I think people just need to understand the power of that. And Jay said I have notebooks and journals throughout the house for that reason, so I can just jot things down. Also, many notepads on my iPhone, but this makes sense to get things more organized and in one place. I have Post-it notes. That's kind of one system I have that I have to, like, I got to put it in something. So when I'm on the phone, I write it on because I used to try to do it with my phone, and sometimes I couldn't do that. So, hey, here's a Post-it note. Let me write this down. And at the end of the day, I have to go make sure I put that on my calendar, my to-do list. So that's the system. I'm just saying, if I write it analog, not, on paper, if I run on paper or remember it some other way, I have to put it digitally at a certain time. And that was hard for me because I don't like doing that.
Yeah. Well, let me say this. I'm glad that you brought up the book Atomic Habits, because I love that book. And there was something that there was a quote that I wanted to share from that book as well. And it says, it doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you are right now. What matters is whether your habits are putting you on a path towards success. You should be far more concerned with your current trajectory than with your current results. So basically that's just saying, where are you going? Where are you headed? Because it's your habits that are going to get you to where you ultimately want to go. And if you have bad sales habits as a business owner or as a sales professional, those habits are either going to hurt you or help you. And it's about having the kind of sales habits and daily success habits that are going to put you on the trajectory to success.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I forgot when I would say this, but I would tell people sometimes with your training of sales that your habits are your employees. You got to employ your habits. So you have a habit to CRM, a habit for cold calling, a habit for LinkedIn, whatever it is, your habits are your employees. So you got to think that I hire enough, or am I treating them the right way? And I love that book. So people, if you haven't read that book, Atomic Habits, great book for anything really, but especially for salespeople, because you're going to have days you're like, why the heck am I doing this? But if I do this many times, the system is proved to lead this result. And that's where I love the sales game is that it's very predictable in a certain sense, but there's also art to it. So when people hear systems, the art side kind of cringes, like, oh my God, I got to be into a confined system. But would you say having a good sales system lets you be more creative, less creative, or the same?
I think it allows you to be more creative. And I think there's a lot of reasons why you need a sales system. First and foremost, you need a sales system for focus, right? Because it's important to establish priorities when you're trying to sell anything. And a sales system gives you that. It gives you focus and it gives you priority because it helps you to get organized. And I also think that a sales system helps you to get clarity, right? Because clarity is what you need when you're trying to figure out what are you going to say when you get that person on the phone? What are you going to say when you either call them or email them? And what's going to be the message? And you just want to have that focus and prioritization. You want to have that clarity. And then more importantly, you want to be able to prove that you have a return on investment for your efforts. So for all those calls that you made or for all those emails that you sent out, can you measure your success rate? Can you come up with, okay, I made 50 calls today and I got 20 appointments, or I made 20 calls today and I got 2 appointments. Like without that information, that's what a sales system does for you. It gives you the data. So that is what you can use to leverage your creativity. So, okay, well, if I call these many people and I didn't get responses, well, maybe I need to get more creative in the messages I leave or in the things that I say. And so then that's when you can start tweaking your approach, because again, the data is going to give you information to help you either do something different, tweak your approach, or try something that you haven't tried before. Because data is information, and that's what a sales system gives you. And it also gives you alerts so that you'll know how to be more productive. And that's what it's all about, because we only have 24 hours in the day.
Right. And one thing I'd like to add to that too is that the sales system helps you align with their buying system, because everybody has a buying process or system that you might not be the right time. And often I'm looking at my sales system when I talk to somebody, and they might say, oh, not right now. Or I usually look at that Q1 or something like that. It lets me notate, okay, I can just chill out and not bug you every single day for the next 6 months because you're not ready. It's not your time. Because, some people do that. They're like, oh, I got a live human. I'm going to keep following up. Like, well, no, listen, in your sales system, you can put in there. They said they review it this time of year. And that's something I think salespeople miss. They build their business on the 2% success rate of, like, if I call 100 people, 2% will say, let's meet right now, versus the 60% that are, hey, I'm not available right now. It's not the right time for it. I'm busy. The budget's exhausted, whatever. There's probably 60% that aren't going to do anything right now. But if you keep track of it, you can have a good milk route for, okay, later on, this will be a good thing. I mean, social media is a good example. In social media, everybody that likes your post is not going to buy from you. Let me just tell everybody that. Everybody that likes it in comments is not buying something from you. But you can start to figure out, okay, who are the people that if I ask for something, they'll listen. At least they'll listen. Maybe they won't do it, but at least they'll consider it. That's something I think is big conversations and kind of keeping track of that.
Exactly. I feel like in every sales situation, like, I don't care what business you're in, you're a salesperson, right? If you're owning a business, if you have a business, you're a salesperson. And so whether you're a business owner or you are a professional working for a company selling something, you still have to make sure that you pay attention to the sales cycle, right? And it's what you just said, Daryl, because I don't care how many people you call, half of those people are not going to be ready to buy or not interested in buying. And, the other 20, 30%, you might not even get on the phone. So those people who you actually do get on the phone and actually do establish some relationship with, and they show interest, even still, it might not be the best time for them. So you still have a lead, though, that if they showed interest at one point in time, they are low-hanging fruit. So at some point, all you need to do is nurture and massage that lead and continue showing up, providing them value, continue showing up, giving them information that educates them, inspires them, and intrigues their interest even further. So then when they are ready to buy, they think of you, and you are the top of mind person when they think of anyone in that industry. And that's what the sales process is all about. That's what the sales system is all about. And that's why you need to be cognizant of how it works and how to work the system to your benefit.
That was the whole show right there. That one little snippet you just did, but I appreciate that because that's the part that people just miss. That whatever way you want to do it, that's what you're trying to keep track of when they're ready. I think old sales was twist your arm, do it right now. You know, whatever it was, especially buying a car. Yeah, hard sale was the old system. But I mean, anybody that's talked to me, I'm kind of running out the door as I'm talking to you. Like, hey, if you don't want it right now, it's okay. Just let me know when you're ready. Hey, I know you're probably busy right now. You don't need this right now. Just let me know it's okay. No harm, no foul. Because I know you might not be ready. Just like when you hit me up, I might not be ready. So folks, just understand business is matching your selling system with their buying system. That's really what it boils down to, like Lori mentioned, whether it's now or in a year. I've had clients I followed up with for a year and a half sometimes. But that's okay because that's their buying process.
And you know what? That's been the same thing for me. I've had clients that have followed me for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and decided to buy at year 1, year 2, year 3. But guess what?
Yep.
During that entire time, I was still showing up. I was still adding value. I was still reminding them that I'm the best choice whenever you get ready to buy.
Boom. Well, Lori, I want to make sure they know how to find you when they decide to make that choice. So let them know how they can get in contact with you.
So you can find me all over the internet, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. I am Lori Mans. You can also go to my company website, which is Quality Media Consulting Group. And the website is qualitymediaconsultants.com.
Awesome. So folks, make sure you get in a call with Lori to learn more about her work and then recommend her. I think the best with sales coaching is usually when it's not a big, massive machine that's kind of been all over the place. I like when it's personal service. You know, someone has been selling for a while, so it's not like a smoke and mirrors kind of thing. Because there are sales companies that don't really help you do a lot. And Lori is not one of them because she's actually a real person that's doing the work herself. Lori, any projects you want to plug before we get out of here? Because I want to be respectful of your time.
Well, I offer a training for entrepreneurs and small business owners, and it's called the Trailblazer CEO Masterclass, and it helps you to form a profitable business model and get ready to take your business to the next level, whatever that next level is for you. And in this masterclass, we talk about marketing and sales to help you move the needle in your business and create more cash flow and revenue in your business within record time. And many of the clients that come through that program are entrepreneurs who are trying to grow their businesses and create more income and cash flow. And so they want to go from being obscure and unknown to an authority and an expert that is crushing it in their sales and in their systems. So find out more about that on the consulting and services tab at qualitymediaconsultants.com. And there are other programs that I offer to my VIP clients that if you don't like working in a group setting, you can ask me about working with me one-on-one to help facilitate your growth and your business needs as well.
I love that. If you don't like working in a group, you can get the solo.
Yes.
And one last thing I want to let people know about for next week for myself. On Tuesday, I'm starting LinkedIn Level Up. It's a program I teach that works more on the relationship building and messaging side of LinkedIn. So I see LinkedIn kind of like two sides to it. So if you need help learning to use messaging and relationships versus viral content, which I think you got to make content, but if you're just not, that's not your jam just yet, I want to help you focus on messaging the right way and using relationship building. And also I'm working with Roger next Wednesday on a event about capital gains and building revenue and wealth generation. So check out my page for some stuff for next Tuesday and Wednesday as well. Lori, I really appreciate you. Folks, please be safe. COVID's not gone. It might look like it's gone, but just please wear a mask at least. Try that because it's still crazy everywhere. I'm in Georgia. Georgia's been pretty all over the board with it. So please be safe.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
No problem. You guys be safe. We'll see you next time. And I got a little outro going. So make sure you check out Lori. Please be safe.